Hello, it's Michael from the Bacteo team here again. We're back in the lab to do some more UVC testing. In today's video, we want to look at how you can measure the effectiveness and power of your UVC lamp. Before we get started, as always, please remember to protect your eyes and your skin whenever you're using UVC. So we're ready to start our first experiment. Now, just like a standard light bulb, you can tell how powerful a UVC light is based on the wattage. The Bacteo tower lamp has a 95 watt light tube. Typical standing lamps usually have 36 or 60 watts, and your average handheld unit has 25 watts. Just like your lamps at home, the higher the wattage, the brighter the light. And in the case of UVC, brighter light means more germ-killing power. We can see this power in action using this. It's a dosimeter, and what it does is measure the amount of UVC radiation and power that's coming out of a UVC lamp. So what we're going to do is set this up with these three different lamps to show you the different levels of power that you're going to get. So because we're going to actually be using some UVC here, I'm going to put on my jacket to cover up my arms. You can use any thick jacket that you have at home, that will be fine, or a jumper for this purpose. I'm also going to be wearing some UVC protective eyewear to keep my eyes protected. Okay, let's switch on the dosimeter. This is going to measure milliwatts per square meter. And first up, I'd like to try this with this lamp here. As we're going to see, this lamp is going to show 0 milliwatts per square meter if I put it right in front of the sensor. Why? Because this is not a UVC lamp. These are simple blue LED light bulbs. So we're getting 0 from those because this is not UVC. So let's try this now with a real UVC lamp. I'm going to run a couple of tests with a dosimeter using the Bacteo tower lamp, which is actually the most powerful UVC lamp on the market for home and office use. First, we'll test it from here at the edge of the table, which is roughly 1 meter, and then I'll do a second test right up next to the lamp and we'll see what readings we get. Okay, let's switch it on. Okay, wow, and from here, out at the edge of the table, I'm getting a reading of about 8 milliwatts per square meter. It's varying a little bit because my hand is moving, but it's around 6 to 8. Okay, now we're up very close and we're getting a reading of 32 milliwatts per square meter. So now let's move our second lamp in to get a comparison. This is a 36 watt lamp. I'm just going to put it into the same position that we had the Bacteo in. And again, let's run it with me holding it at the edge of the table, roughly 1 meter away. Okay, so from here, we're getting a reading of 1.0. So the equivalent here with the Bacteo was around 8. It was varying from 6 to 8. Here it's 1.1, 1.2. Let's try it now right next to the lamp itself. Okay, holding it next to the lamp, I can see 24 or so, whereas with the Bacteo, it was around 34. Okay, so we've run 3 tests with the dosimeter. What do these tests show us? Well, first of all, you need to make sure you have a real UVC lamp. When you're using a fake lamp like this, then you don't get any readings at all. Secondly, once you do have a real UVC lamp, there's a big difference in terms of performance. This 36 watt lamp did do the job when it was up very close. We got a reading of about 24 milliwatts per square meter. But as soon as we came to about a meter's distance, that dropped considerably, down to 1.1. By contrast, the more powerful Bacteo lamp was able to give us a reading of about 6 to 8 milliwatts per square meter, even 1 meter away. So what does this mean? Well, first of all, with a more powerful lamp, you're going to disinfect more of the space, and also you're going to have to leave it for a shorter amount of time. By contrast, a less powerful lamp requires much longer, and it's not going to do such an effective job of disinfecting the wider space. So when we're in the lab with professional equipment, it's very easy to see the difference in power between these lamps. But obviously at home, you probably don't have this kind of equipment and don't necessarily want to invest in it. So a simple alternative is to use one of these. These are UVC test cards. Just be aware there are a couple of different types of cards. You can get cards that simply show it's UVC, or you can get cards like this which actually show how powerful the UVC is. So we're going to use these cards to measure the power coming from these 2 different units. When you're using these test cards, you want to make sure you get them as close as possible to the lamp to get an accurate reading. So we're going to put these right next to the light tube itself. As you can see, there's one problem here with this lamp, which is that it actually blocks us from getting right up to the lamp itself. That's a problem as well because it's blocking the UVC rays from coming out. So the Bacteo does have a design advantage as well as a power advantage because there's much less material blocking the UVC rays as they come out. So what we're going to do now is remove this cover so we can put it right next to the light tube and get a fair test of these two different units. So we have the test cards set up. What's going to happen is they'll turn green if the UVC level is powerful enough, and the greener it gets, the more powerful. We're going to leave these for 5 minutes, so I'll set up a timer now and then switch these two on. So let's take a look at the results from this test. On the left-hand side, we have the card that was exposed to the Bacteo, and on the right-hand side, the 36-watt lamp. So what we're interested in is this area in the middle, whether it's changed color at all. And here we can see with the Bacteo, it's got a slight greening. This shows it's in this spectrum here, around 50 milliwatts per meter squared, which is the same reading that we got off the dosimeter. By contrast, the other card has no coloring at all. So it hasn't registered at all, although we do have some burning here, which is not a very good sign. Now, these cards are used for industrial use, so the fact that the Bacteo hasn't made much of a colouring is not a problem at all, and if you do run this test at home, you probably won't see a very strong colouring. Any indication that it's changed colour is already a very good sign. We've run some tests using test cards and a dosimeter, but another way that you can test UVC is with organic material. UVC will kill or break down organic material. That's why it kills bacteria, and that's also why you should take the pot plants out before you activate one of these lamps. So let's run a couple of experiments using organic material to see how powerful these lamps are. So here's a really nice simple test you can try at home. It's a banana test. All you're going to need is some black tape like this and a couple of bananas. What's going to happen is that as the skin of the banana is exposed to UVC, it's going to change color. And by putting tape on, we can protect part of it, and then you can see the difference. So all you need to do for this test is apply a couple of pieces of tape like this. This is just to give us a kind of control so we see what the skin looks like when it hasn't been exposed to UVC. So I'm going to prepare this one for the Bacteo, and then one more for the 36-watt lamp that we're using for comparison. So if you're running this test at home, make sure you place the bananas really close to the light unless you want to wait for a long time. Of course, if you're doing it further away like here, you can leave it for a longer period, say 60 minutes. In our case, we want to run a 15-minute test, and we're going to put the bananas right next to the lamps themselves. So I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes and then switch on both of these lamps. So we've run for 15 minutes, let's take a look at the results. I'm going to take the tape off here and, okay, it's come off now, and wow, you can see a massive contrast in the colours between the part that was exposed and the part that wasn't. Much browner here, and also you'll notice it's across the whole of the banana, so it's spread right across. Let's take a look at the one from this lamp. Okay, I can immediately see there's been some coloration, but it's much smaller. Yeah, you can see a difference, so it is working a little bit, but it's much less than with the Bacteo. So if we hold these two side by side, you can see quite a substantial difference in the change in color between these two. So as we can see, UVC has a strong effect on organic matter like a banana. Don't worry though, if you do happen to leave your fruit bowl in the room while you switch the UVC on, it's not going to actually do any permanent damage. Inside, as you can see, if we open this up, the banana is perfectly fine, so it's just the skin area that's been affected. And if I eat the banana, I'll still be totally fine. There's one other factor which I haven't mentioned yet, which is ozone. Every time I've switched this lamp on, there's been a strong smell which is coming from the ozone that lamp emits. Now, you're going to have to ventilate after leaving this lamp on for extended periods of time, whereas in the case of the Bacteo, it doesn't emit ozone, which means there's no need to ventilate afterwards. So we've shown that the Bacteo UVC works. When you need to use it in your home or office, just select the appropriate room size and the timing will be set automatically. Then you know your room has been safely disinfected. Thanks for watching.